and perhaps you all understand. This is a very exciting day, and actually this is more or less where we started. The story for me is that actually I once went to a lecture at the Tel Aviv University, and this lecture was given by one of the directors of NASA in the United States, whom I had met before. And I went to hear her, and it was interesting. And then three young gentlemen who were sitting over there got up, and they said that they were going to participate in a Google competition to put a spacecraft on the moon for Israel. So I went up to them and I congratulated them. I thought this was a great idea. And I asked them, do you have any money? And the three of them looked at each other and they said, money, what's that? For them, they hadn't really thought about the financial side. And I said, come to my office, and I gave them $100,000, no questions asked, and I said, start. And I asked them, just by the way, what is the budget for this project? And they said about $8 million. And I thought, well, that's actually something I think we can manage. And so I got involved with this $100,000 and an $8 million budget. And I can tell you today, in spite of what everybody says, this project is about $95 million. And I can also tell you that we've got the money, and whatever we don't get, I've underwritten. This project will not stop and not have any problem because of money. Now, after we met, we had a meeting, and they began, and they got volunteers, and I remember we all came to Tassi Avirit for the beginning. And we had a meeting in one of the offices with Shimon Peres, and I think the three of you will remember. And Shimon Peres said, if Boris Kahn is here, you'll make the money. Is that right? It is. And actually it was true. I didn't realize how much it was going to take. I really didn't. But once we started, there's no way that we would go back. And actually, what Shimon said was actually prophetic. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was prophetic. Now, we're very lucky that we've actually had some donors who've actually been very supportive. Sheldon Adelson, Steve Grange, Semi Segal, Lynn Schusterman, and Len Harrison. And mainly Sheldon Adelson. He's a difficult man, but he's a very successful man. And they've actually really been with us all the way. And I know that he'll actually be with us right to the end. Now, people have asked me, why do you get involved in a project like this? To put a spacecraft on the moon is a little bit of a strange idea. And the truth of the matter is, when I think about it carefully and sanely, it is a strange idea. But we've got to remember that there are only 3 countries in the world who've actually put a spacecraft on the moon. That's the United States, Russia, and China. And each one of these countries that has put a spacecraft on the moon has had a tremendous industrial resource to actually do it. They've had thousands of engineers, and they've had tremendous amounts of money, and they've done it. And for Israel to actually be there together with these 3 major powers, I think is a tremendous achievement. And I think when we do it, I think we're all going to be tremendously proud. It's going to give us a sense of pride that I think we really need. And I think that actually the credit will really go to the engineers to the managers, to Tassi Abirit. They've been with us all along, and without them, I think we would not have made it. We really needed them as partners, and they've helped us without any question. The government could have put about 10% of the money we need into this project, but it hasn't come yet. And I think it should come, because I think that the government should recognize that space is going to be very important in the future. Very important. Now we are in space. We actually are in a geostationary orbit around the Earth with the communication satellites. But we're not in deep space. And this project will take Tassi Abirit into deep space. And I think that this is the knowledge that they will acquire. I think it's going to be terribly important. And I think that is another contribution that we've actually made. Now, one of the things that drove me was actually, I'm involved with a group of people who are involved with space and the ocean. And one of the people in this group is actually Buzz Aldrin, who was the second man to land on the moon. And by the way, when we asked Buzz why he was the second man on the moon, he said because Armstrong was closer to the door. It's not really true, because Armstrong was really the leader of the project. I think that actually for Israel to be in space, it's going to be important. And the importance we'll only see sometime down the line. Now, if people care about our country, and I think we all do, we've got to actually look at the youth, and we've got to try and get the youth to do what they should do and get themselves ready for the next generation. And actually what we will do, and what we're doing, is we try to replicate the Apollo effect in the United States. In the United States, the Apollo project, when they landed on the moon, first of all, everybody, and I've been with Buzz, and people come up to him and they say, I know exactly where I was when you landed on the moon. And I think that people will realize the importance. And what we're doing is we're using this to encourage young people to take up STEM, science, technology, and mathematics, and engineering. And I think these are the people that we're going to need. If we're going to continue being the startup country, we are going to need these people as engineers. And if you start with these people when they're young, and you excite them when they're young, and this is what we're doing. And we've used this as an educational tool, and we're going to the schools. I think we have about 400 volunteers. And I don't know how many thousands of children we've actually seen. And they're excited. They really are excited. And I think that that is a contribution that I think Israel will always remember. Now, this was originally a Google contest where the prize was $20 million and there were 23 contestants around the world. I think we are the only ones left. And the reason is, this is a very complicated project. To build a spacecraft that will go to the moon is so complicated. If you're not in the business, you will not understand it. You will not be able to comprehend how complicated it really is. And I think that actually this, the fact that we are the only ones left, and that we will achieve what we've set out to do, where all the others have failed. And there were just 2 contestants at the end that looked as though they might make it. One was America, Moon Express, and the other one was Indus, a project in India. And in India, they have a rocket of their own, which they could have used to actually take the project into space. Now we're going to actually go into space with SpaceX. That's Elon Musk. and he takes us into space, and then he deploys us, and once he deploys us, we're on our own. And later on, Ido will explain to you where we're going and actually how we do it. You know, Tol Brody, I don't know how many of you actually remember Tol Brody. But Tol Brody was actually, he led the Maccabi team to winning the European Cup basketball, and they beat the Russian opponents in 1977. And he said, we are on the map, and we are staying on the map, not only in sport, but in everything. And I'm telling you, when we land on the moon, we will say we are in space. And this is a big statement to make, and this is a big achievement. It is really a big achievement. Now, I'd like to just sort of mention that actually on the Apollo 11, when they put the Apollo 11 into space, they uncovered a plaque and they said, here men from planet Earth first set foot on the moon in July 1969, and we came in peace for mankind. And we have on our plaque a message of peace and prosperity to humanity as a whole, and the Middle East in particular. Now, I'm not sure if anybody's going to get to the moon to read it, but perhaps one day when people get to the moon, they will actually see our spacecraft, and this will actually be history. This will actually be history, and we are making history. Now, I'd like to just sort of thank a few people. I'd like to thank Yossi Weiss particularly. He's really been helpful. The Mankala Tassi Avirit. I'd like to thank Ofer Doron. He's the man who's really running the project. Without him, we couldn't have done it. And Ido Antevi, our manager, has come on recently. He's doing the job. And you know, all of you know that I at some point in time resigned. And I don't know what the stories are about or why I resigned, but I can tell you, I resigned to shake things up because things were not going the way they should go. And I shook things up. And we got a new manager. And we did the right thing. We just did it a little bit late, but not too late. And Ido, the job's in your hands. And Yitzhak Ben Yisrael, you've actually been terrific in helping us with the government and actually just helping us, sort of guiding us where we have to go and then how we actually do it. On our board, your contribution is really very important. So all I can say to all of you is, this is a tremendous adventure. And this is going to be very exciting. And the people of Israel, when they see it and they feel it, they're going to be excited. And when the rocket goes into orbit, I think we'll all remember where we were when Israel landed on the moon. Thank you. And now I'd like to just invite a few people to give checks.